Welcome to the Dice Box and Dunwall by Night. Our last session, our sort of retcon the fact that Ethan's not going to be with us for a little while session, kind of got eaten by my own stupidity, so we'll give as much of a recap as we can, all things considered. Previously, after Delphine kind of did a stupid in the marketplace, the Abbey is very much aware of the existence and approximate haunts of the individuals who, according to the various law enforcement reports, kidnapped and attempted murder in at least one case, one daughter of the nobility and foster daughter of the nobility, which doesn't impress Jerrica all that much because I don't think she likes thinking of her daughter as the ward of the nobility. Not particularly not when they basically were after yeeting her into the void and turning her into the next outsider. Mina's not 100% unaffected by that, but it does seem that she gets to see some of the nasty things about the people with whom she is involved in some way in the void when she sleeps, which is not pleasant for the poor girl. And I get the impression that Jerrica is very much after shaking anybody she can get her hands on to try to make it stop. Which, Mina's a little bitty revolutionary, and we don't really know what she's going to do about this, because the one thing Jerrica didn't do was tell her not to do anything. I'm just saying she did not do that thing. They have met a couple of presumed allies, quite apart from Gilbert, Delphine's friend, who she's now having to deal with. The poor schmuck's in love with you, right? Yes, because Delphine does not entirely go there. There's also still Evangeline, the aforementioned attempted murdered daughter of the nobility, just not by them. And Alan, Han Solo meets Batman meets, I don't know, something else incredibly fucking dorky, basically. He seems a nice enough guy, but he's kind of a dork. Which, there were worse things, probably. Well, definitely, you've met the worst things. Yeah, so Jerrica is kind of, can we make it so that Mina stops going, dreaming of the void, and also I'm going to find the people who did this, and I'm going to make them pay a lot. Delphine, meanwhile, is a little more interested in, oh hey, other witches. They might be able to help, and I can talk to them. Yes.
Power. Give me more power.
Yeah.
Oh, Devil May Cry.
Yes, well, Delphine has her own issues, and she also has another one of her rats back.
Absolutely delighted by that fact.
Yeah, so we now have Holly and Socks, as well as Fluffy, the raven, cat, whatever else she needs Fluffy to be at the time. But yes, the witch that the swamp witch that Delphine managed to spot isn't going to be back in until tomorrow, probably. So they've got a little bit of time to kill. It all depends on what they want to do. I mean, there are options. There's scouting. There's following up on that, why don't we introduce Evangeline to Lady Hepzibah thing, and also, hey Mina, this is who you're going to be taught things by for the moment. Please don't, please let this distract you from any of the other bullshit.
Yeah, going over to Hepzibah's seems like a good idea.
So are you
Take a look around the street as they're going.
are you letting Delphine in on this at all? Because
Yes,
strength in numbers.
Jerrica will get Delphine and Evangeline once breakfast has been.
Well,
eaten
but
and everything.
it was
Over breakfast.
it was lunch at that point actually. Because remember you
Oh.
had your meal with Alan, so you're
Oh,
getting
yeah,
you're getting on to the. I mean, the witch that Delphine spotted tends to come in for the noonday meal, the lunch-ish, which tends to be early mid-afternoon, because most of y'all are not exactly working on a workman's hours.
Okay.
We're not
good.
9 to 5. We're 5 to 9.
Most of the time, yeah. So, but at this stage, it's kind of just. I mean, Mina is, she's happy with the doll, but the teddy bear is kind of new. You're living too near docks in Morley, and you're probably not getting anything that's made predominantly of material, because it's just gonna get moldy. So it's squishy, squish.
Being half frozen, too.
And Evangeline does kind of step up to Jerrica, going, "You seem to be having thoughts. Would you like to share them?"
Well, you need to have a talk with Hepzibah at some point, and Mina and I should talk to Sophie.
You're gonna need this back. I'll find something else. It takes the hat that she borrowed for downstairs and just.
Thank you.
Well, blonde's not overly common, but red is less so, at least around here.
Yeah, Jerrica wrinkles her nose a bit and starts
And
dealing with her hair.
and Evangeline just kind of glances at Mina and goes, "That's gonna be a problem."
Well, having proper clothes now will help a bit. We'll be strolling
Yes.
through the market at midday.
No, will be strolling through the market when people are on their way home from work. It might be a good idea if we had more than one hat. Perhaps one sized for someone small.
Wouldn't it?
I hesitate looking at Delphine. I hesitate to send you alone, but I mean, I suppose you have hat. You could go with her.
Yeah, all right. We'll
See, you
quick step out.
if you're quiet enough, maybe you can see if there's any Abbey presence at the market we need to worry about.
That, and I can take the roofs, provided I don't slide off of one.
We're just going down the street to find a hat, Delphine.
It points at Mina. I'm sorry, you're not in Morley anymore. Small child.
Multiple hats.
Small child, red hair. Even in normal clothes. It's going to be, oh, little red-haired girl. Oh, gee, wasn't there a... ...
That's... Find something that'll hide her hair.
Yes, I'd let you just stay, but... She's talking about roofs.
Save the roofs for another time, Delphine.
Fine. But if I get recognized, I cannot be blamed for the shitstorm I will unleash.
That's why we keep our heads down. Don't attract attention.
This is why we need two hats. If it
Get another hat.
Yes, it's not that. It's that I'd prefer to be the one going with you, but this shade of blonde is almost as rare as yours, so just keep your head down and try not to have any ideas while you're out.
I will do my best.
Thank you.
And then just sort of sits down next to Mina and basically asking things like, does your new friend have a name? Not yet. Actually, I don't know. Mummy, does he have a name?
Oh. Is she talking to the doll or the teddy bear?
Bear. The doll has not been brought up yet. If you get out quickly, you might not have to do this again.
You know, Sophie did not tell me. You will have to ask her tomorrow, or perhaps later today.
Looks at the bear. Kind of like she expects it to add, like she expects it to say something and just. Okay.
Delphine and I need to run down the street, but I'll be back soon, okay?
Okay.
Jerrica gives her a wave and heads out.
And I'm assuming Delphine follows?
I am most definitely following. This seems like a time.
Okay, I have to ask, are you bringing your own brand of companionship?
In my case, I'm leaving Holly and Socks because they need to be kept safe. As for Fluffy, if Fluffy is to follow, Fluffy's going to be making like the average bird. I may step into an alley before we leave the immediate vicinity of our base and shift Fluffy into owl or pigeon. Probably owl.
If you want Fluffy to blend, probably pigeon.
Yeah, more that. Yeah, I'm thinking.
It's not quite dark yet.
Got it.
And
So,
remember, I'm not making it take a very long time or a whole lot of components to change. So, pigeon.
Yeah, you've basically given me a in-game selector wheel, as it were.
Yeah. Of course, when you turn Fluffy to pigeon, you just get the dirtiest look you've ever seen a pigeon give anybody.
He'll be back to something proper once we've been sneaky enough to satisfy everyone else's concerns.
Still filthy pigeon look, and then Fluffy does not like being a pigeon.
It is mentally to Fluffy. Feel free to mess with anyone or do anything you want. Just do you.
This does not mollify Fluffy over much, but okay. Getting to market, are you just, making like the average person on the street, or are you actively stealthing?
Not just making like a average.
Same. I have practice doing that.
That is very true. Okay, but it doesn't. You get to the edges of the market, and you can quite clearly see that there is a certain amount of Abbey presence there.
How far away is the market from the inn?
I don't know. Quarter mile, maybe?
Okay.
Are any of the visible Abbey people carting around the music boxes? Oh, fuckery.
I don't actually know what those are. Could you please explain the musical boxes of fuckery?
They're essentially like they strap a record player typewriter mishmash looking thing to their chests, play it by cranking, and it disrupts outsider powers.
One is hovering around that chestnut vendor. One of his fellows is kind of holding up posters. It's a thing. Thankfully, that's in the nicer areas of market, and you're still in the kind of grotty sections. And there's only the one who's particularly problematic. And to be fair, I'm not even sure Jerrica knows about ways of blocking outsider power. She hasn't been in Dunwall, so all she sees is that fucking they're showing posters, and that's bad. What are they carting around? Delphine knows what this is. She's born and raised in Dunwall.
Yeah, and a lot more of those types of Abbey individuals wander about. Just because it's part of the sermon or whatever the fuck for the week.
Yes, but in this case, it doesn't take a perception check to understand that they are asking about some very specific individuals.
Oh, that's delightful. Particularly
Sure,
Foxy over there.
Keeps walking and make sure Delphine keeps walking.
Yes, but is she going to ask what the box is? This strikes me as useful information. Because it's clear to Delphine, Jerrica has no idea what that is. She is not remotely concerned enough.
Yeah, she gives that a weird look, but she's trying to keep moving.
No, I kind of see what a man action actually looks like.
God.
As I'm whispering as I'm getting dragged along.
What looks like?
Boxy over there.
What ridiculous thing is that he's got strapped to his chest?
Oh, those purportedly ward off the minions and powers of the outsider.
Ah, great.
I want to know how well those actually work.
I don't.
We're liable to end up having to fight them, so in the near future, so why not find out now?
Jerrica sees an awful lot of these people, just only one of them has the box. So you block out your powers, and it's a lot of people against you, too.
It's not as if we can ask him. There's nothing we can do about it now.
Yeah, well, onwards to hats then.
Yes, well, we can ask Hepzibah about it, but we're not lingering here.
I said onwards to hats then.
Yeah, Jerrica goes onwards.
Yes, this is the point at which I'm going to ask you to make stealth checks, because they're, like I say, as you get into market proper, even just the poor folks areas, they are looking.
Yay, 21.
Yeah. You manage you manage to find a stall with the same kind of caps that you've got. It's a couple of coppers a piece for one that would, that fits you, so it obviously will fit Evangeline because she borrowed yours, and the same for a smaller version that Mina can just get her hair into. And it's not until you're pretty much at the at the edge of the market that you do notice that a couple of people were pointing in your general direction, but by the time anybody's really looking that direction, they're gone. You're gone, rather. Basically, the perception checks I made, only one came very, very close, but tie does go to defender, so Some other people saw you, because obviously you were doing business with them, but the Abbey folks didn't get a good enough look at you. You just are aware that you got out of that by the skin of your teeth.
Jerrica's grimacing and making her way swiftly, probably down some alley.
Well, yeah, there's an awful lot of alley, and you can just take a different set of alleys. So just, silently back to the No Name Inn.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Fluffy, as you're approaching the No Name Inn from a different set of alleys, Fluffy lands atop Delphine's head and telepathically, I messed on the box. Funnily enough, the pigeon is just a little breast puffed out, just looking kind of proud. Even if still slightly disgruntled because I am a pigeon.
Reach up, down, and step back into the alley, and back to Crow. Or Raven in this case, rather.
Fuck the Abbey!
Yes. And up to just feel free to fly about and we're going. We'll flag.
I'll keep an eye.
Thank you.
Delphine looks entirely too happy about things for what just went down, frankly.
Jerrica gives her a look.
What?
Just... I don't even know. They're too close for comfort.
They are frustratingly nearby, but so long as more of those boxes don't turn up and they don't start playing them on every corner, we should be fine.
And of course, Jerrica's now, wait, that's a thing?
I'd still rather not be tumbling with them, even without the boxes. It's not the kind of people you can just leave in an alley, bleeding out. Someone that just attracts more of them.
I mean, theoretically you could, but you'd have to do a better job hiding them.
Yes, that's one of
We
the
have
one of several problems.
dumpsters.
And let's face it, Delphine, you also have rats.
And to say nothing of my particular rendition of cleanup crews.
Yes, Delphine, yes, I am.
I
Aware
didn't always want
of that.
one of their masks.
Let's...
And to think, Noms, you thought you were going to be playing Jerrica high chaos, and now you're playing low chaos to Delphine's off the fucking charts chaos.
Boy. Just leave Delphine there to daydream. She'll go.
And
Give Mina give out the hats.
Looking at it like, okay, why?
There's people looking for us, and we don't want them to find us, and you and I have very striking hair.
Not back home.
No, not back home, but things are different in Dunwall.
They don't have color in Dunwall?
Jerrica gonna looks out the window.
Except for the rich people with yeah.
Yeah,
Did the rich people just tax all the color out of everything?
Good God.
not exactly, but they don't build all the factories near the rich people's homes, so all the smog and the ash doesn't get things all dirty and gray there, so in a sense. But there's not as many Moorish folk in Dunwall with hair like ours. And we don't want to stand out here.
There's that little 6-year-old look of just wanting to kick the whole world in the shins. Starting with the rich people.
It won't be like this forever, Mina, but right now we're still figuring things out. Figuring out what our life will be like in Dunwall.
I mean, here's kind of okay, but rich people.
Yeah, I know that's a...
Rich people
Those are
with
trouble.
knives!
Yes, that's the problem too. We only need to hide your hair when we're going outside.
I'm getting used to it. Besides, I figure we're going out soon, so
That's
I'll be
right.
ready.
Thank you. He looks to Evangeline.
Please tell me there wasn't another incident.
No, but there's people out there in masks asking a lot of questions, showing a lot of posters. It's not good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We might be able to do something about that. It's a shame that we don't have Viola here. An image wouldn't be too bad, and I'm not. Do we have a map of the area? Or at least a street name or something for where this place is? Map would be best.
Jerrica gives her the street name, but she kind of looks around the room for a map that probably isn't there, but otherwise.
Now we roll the hand of fate. Actually, there is, in fact, I mean, okay, it's not quite an A to Z, but it's similar purpose. You know, this was used as lodgings. Clearly, people thought, clearly somebody at some point thought, people might need to know how to get around, probably clandestinely. You don't know how much you need to thank what's his height downstairs for that. And honestly, it's not so much Jerrica who finds it. It's actually Mina who's going, I was looking at the shelves.
Oh, thank you, Mina.
Well, I was curious. There's lots of little buildings all squished.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of people that live in Dunwall.
Some of them have less room than we did.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of people in Dunwall are in the same situation that we were in back home.
She still has that going to kick people in shins look. And it just go back to at which point Evangeline unrolls the map. Okay, that's the street name that you said, so how far is that? Reading through the map and going, okay. This isn't an exact science, and I don't know exactly how well this is going to work, and probably going to make a minor mess of this floor, but it's a way of... Okay, do we know if anybody patrols that alley to the side there?
If anyone does, it's more likely Hepzibah's people. Or
Oh.
on her payroll.
Well, they're going to figure things out eventually, I suppose. Delphine, you have all kinds of weird and wacky writing implements. Do you have anything like chalk?
I'm going to root around in my kit for whatever.
You do, in fact, have chalk. Because it's better to mark where you want to put things on walls for your habitat bits and pieces. Great. Okay, this is all instinct and weird, so bear with me. Rolls out the rug and sketches out some... I mean, Delphine probably recognizes at least the basic shape of some of these runes. It's the kind of thing that you find on bone charms, but nothing specifically like anything she's seen. Okay, that ought to about do it. If everybody wants to kind of stand in this circle.
Happily stepping in.
Jerrica picks up Mina.
Yeah. Okay. I have feet, mommy.
I know, but we're gonna stay close while Evangeline does her thing.
And if you all would close your eyes, I would be grateful. It's probably going to be a little wonky if you don't.
Jerrica makes sure Mina is closing her eyes.
Mommy! Yeah, there's a certain amount of... It's like the world kind of twists, and that weird... It's not really air, and yet it is feel of the void kind of hits you like a slap in the face for a second, and then it's gone, and you're getting a whole lot more breeze, traffic noise, unfortunate alley smells. And you open your eyes, and you're back in that alley that she was pointing at on the map. Oh, okay. Great.
I bloody love you.
Apparently everything I got was point A to point B. Opposite, really, for somebody who just didn't want to be where she was.
Oh, that worked.
I wonder
Thank
what
you.
that kind of point A, point B could do to someone if you, say, moved them 300 feet into the air.
That takes a whole lot more preparation to do, and we'd have to lure them into a... Yeah, okay, no. I don't think any of what I do does that at the moment.
Makes sense.
I don't know how to get in, so... And you still got me going... Mummy, we're outside.
Yeah.
I'm going to head towards the
magic.
the entrance and do the designated knock.
The door opens, and apparently nobody actually saw you port in, so... Well, the first thing is, you have company. They do let you inside because they don't want you standing out, but they don't just let you go about your business because you have company.
Yeah.
This is Evangeline, who Lady Hepzibah is going to want to meet. And this is Mina, who Sophie is going to want to meet.
If Jerrica still hasn't put Mina down, it's sort of turning around to just, hi.
Yeah, Mina, Jerrica will put her down after that.
And the guards are sort of looking down at her like, what the fuck do we do with this? If you two would, if you four would stay in the immediate vicinity of the buffet, only in the immediate vicinity of the buffet, while
Thank
we
you.
address some people. Yeah. And yeah, it's currently, fancy tea cake nibbles at the buffet, and there is still the usual conversations of tricks of the trade and divvying up spoils of various bits and pieces, and thankfully, Mina is far more interested in looking at all the fancy cakes and going, "Mummy, what are those?"
Those are the kind of food that rich folk eat.
This wasn't what they were feeding me. Not all the time, anyway. How do you have sandwiches with only cucumber in them?
I don't know. I don't very much understand it either.
But these look okay. Pointing at a thing. Not taking them yet, because Mummy hasn't said she can, so...
Jerrica glances around. Go ahead, Mina.
Why did looking at a particularly interesting chocolate-looking one, just because chocolate, not so much a thing for you guys. How come they have the rich people food here? This is not a rich people place except where it is. I don't get it, Mummy.
It's, I'm not sure I get all of it either, but Lady Hepzibah teaches people things so they can get jobs at rich folks' manor, and they use what they learn inside the manor to help people and sometimes steal things from the rich people who, of course, have plenty to spare. So the people that work for Lady Hepzibah, they need to know how to talk proper and dance and cut tiny sandwiches with cucumbers and nothing else in them.
Am I gonna learn how to do that, Mummy?
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna introduce you to our friend Sophie, who's she knows a lot of things, but a lot of mostly about dressmaking. And when I found you and my hair was all
Is she why you were wearing the fancy dress?
yes, she helped us find you by dressing us up fancy so we could get into that manor.
How did she make your scar not there?
It's a makeup she used that changed the color of my face a little bit so that the scar wouldn't stand out.
I can learn how to do that.
Yeah, you could ask her, and I'm sure she'd love to teach you a bit.
At which point, guards come down and going, Lady Evangeline's presence is requested, before Lady Hepzibah. And Sophie is available, if you would like to speak with her.
Yes. Thank you.
There's a certain amount of get the underaged out of here before she starts noticing things.
Jerrica takes Mina off in a that-away direction.
Yeah. And is Delphine trying to go along with Evangeline, or is she going down to,
I'm going to offer Mina and Jerrica a wave, sort of a good luck sort of thing, and move to follow Evangeline.
At which point you do get the guards going, where do you think you're going?
I was just going to wait at the bottom of the stairs.
See that you do. And what is Delphine doing?
if Evangeline's going up the stairs to Hepzibah's office, I'm going to situate myself at the bottom of said stairs. And I know Fluffy's still out and about near the no-name, so I'm considering vamping Fluffy at my location.
Well, that's up to you. You're saying you're considering it. Are you doing it?
Yeah, I'm just going to pull Fluffy into the void and then pop back out at my spot.
You got here fast.
Yeah, Evangeline has a lot of mobility. Almost as much as you do.
Okay.
So, anything of interest to you in here today? And I'm just gonna hold up Fluffy by the arm for a better view.
Fluffy is a raven. Fluffy is shiny things and food.
Yep, and I'm just anticipating one of those things is about to get a bird invasion.
The buffet gets bird and guards. Oh God.
Hold up a moment before any of you do anything. That one's mine.
We know. And that's why they take you and Fluffy and escort you from the premises.
Yes! Or did I get shunted outside entirely?
At which point it's... You can come back when you learn some bloody manners. Wham. Oopsie.
Oh well, I guess we know for next time then.
We'll leave Delphine contemplating for a moment. So yeah, Jerrica and Mina go downstairs into the cave of clothier wonders, and Mina is just... This is a lot of dress.
Yep. Sophie helps all of the people here with getting the right clothes they need so they can look like they belong somewhere that they wouldn't normally be.
I guess she's very... sort of apologetically, I guess she's really good at her job.
Yes, she is.
At which point you get Sophie going, somewhere out there. But in a moment, oh! And he comes around a corner with a stack, just a large stack of fabric that's probably a few dresses, just peering over and going, oh! Hello!
Hello, Sophie. This is Mina.
Hi. Hello. Mummy said you didn't tell her the name of the bear. That's right, I did not. Part of the reason for that is sometimes adults are very, very silly, and sometimes they're very, very smart, and sometimes it looks like they're being silly when they're actually being very smart. Because sometimes bears want you to name them, and sometimes they want to keep their own names, and since the bear has not indicated to you in any way that there is a name that he would prefer, and there's not one that you just wanted to saddle him with, I can tell you that when he was in my custody, his name was Benjamin. Okay, thank you. So gives Jerrica a look like you've tried to stick me with that one, didn't you? Kind of expression on her face.
Jerrica looks very content.
So I understand that I'm going to be spending some time with you. Letters and numbers and such like. Can you teach me why the nobles are so mean? Well, I can teach you the various ways historically that the rich men are so mean, but I can sum it up in 2 simple words. Money and power. They want it, and do tend to step on anyone who might suggest that everybody deserves to be happy. I'm not like that. No, you're not. Not everyone is. It's just those people who have the power are very keen to step on people in order to keep it. Is there anything in the teaching about how to step back? I think that's something probably for when you're older, dear. Just looks at Jerrica. So, fairly standard curriculum. Reading, writing, a little bit of literature, a little bit of history, some basic trade skills.
That would be more than I could ever have asked for.
Well, I mean, we're going to be spending time together, and she's going to have to watch me work while I'm doing these things anyway, because even if I have other duties, that they still need me down here.
Of course.
Does that start immediately, or was this just an introductory? I don't know what your plans are for the evening.
To chat with Lady Hepzibah around now, but I don't expect to be busy all night tonight.
Well, I can do a bit of an introduction thing, show her around, let her decorate what will be her own little spot down here. Beady?
That would be perfect, wouldn't it, Mina? Well, why don't you run it along then? I'll be back in a little bit.
As she say, if you go down to the very far wall and turn right, you'll see a little corner and there's a little desk, and there's some various bits and pieces. You start putting together what you want. I just want to have a quick chat with your mother, but you might as well get started just to get a feel for what you're working with. Looks at Jerrica with the can I kind of look. Mm-hmm. See you later, Mummy. Hug. Anything else I need to know?
She was exposed to the void, and she's been having strange dreams, or possibly more than dreams. Seeing things that she shouldn't know, and I would rather her not have seen, about certain people dying, and I'm not even sure what else or what it could be next. But she might ask questions more difficult than why the nobles are the way they are. Trying not to encourage her to have an interest in witchcraft, but it's a bit hard to avoid.
Indeed, particularly given she clearly thinks the world of you. And I'm not sure that avoiding the questions altogether is something that's going to work.
No.
I don't know what to say to discourage, but I think that what I've already said about people with power might give me a good lead in to how one deals with having it. Mm-hmm. And that's what one has to do sometimes to get it.
Just try not to have her dwell on what she's seen or worry too much about what I'm getting into. It's easier said than done.
She does seem a bright little thing, so hopefully I can keep her occupied with the. I mean, for the moment, it really is just going to be decorating her desk space. See if there's anything else in the young one's wardrobe items that might be of interest to her. That should keep her moderately busy.
Thank you, Sophie.
That's quite all right. It's a good way to figure out what her interests are for the trade ends. So we shall see.
Yeah, she'll be a child for a few years yet. I'm hoping she'll still have some chance to enjoy that.
I'll do my level best, but I get the impression that given what you're saying about what she's been through, and some of what she's already said, I think what you have is less a child and more a revolutionary in training.
She takes after her father.
I'm sure not just her father, but anyway, I'm sure you have other matters to attend to. We'll be here, and I'll try to keep things light.
Thank you.
And heads off in the general direction of that Mina disappeared off into. And
Jerrica heads to wait outside.
and when she turns up, Delphine is nowhere to be found.
Jerrica
And
looks around once and then
the one
going.
thing she will notice is that, I mean, she was supposed to be at the bottom of the bottom of the stairs leading up to Hepzibah's office, because that's where she was going to wait. But mostly what Jerrica is seeing is a distinct lack of Delphine and people working to right a somewhat trashed buffet. And one of the guards approaches and goes, "She set her raven on the buffet table, and we had to remove her."
Is she overly bruised?
No, she went quietly. We said she could come back
Good.
when she developed some manners. Although it will occur to Jerrica that these people don't know necessarily that the Abbey is looking for you guys with those stupid boxes. And they've just chucked her out onto the street.
You know, I'm going to stick my head out and make sure she doesn't get into any more trouble.
Fair enough. Okay, so what has Delphine been doing these past 5-10 minutes or so?
Just sort of letting Fluffy fly about and staying largely within alley reach of the building, but occasionally poking out to look up and down the street and zoop back in.
Yeah, and one of the points at which you poke your head out and Abbey people. One of them with the boxes.
Oh, bugger. Back towards the building.
And as you see Delphine, Jerrica sticks her head out and sees Delphine heading back, somewhat paler than her skin tone might, generally speaking, dictate, and moving with a purpose in the direction of the door. So yeah, you're walking towards the door and going, "I'm going to have to eat non-fluffy crow, except Fluffy's a raven, to get back in," and all of a sudden door opens. Jerrica.
Jerrica gives Delphine a look, sticking her head out of the door.
We have company. I need to be inside to give heads up now, please, and thank you.
Is there a guard within
Yeah.
sight on the inside?
Yes.
Can we please let Delphine stand right in this exact spot.
If
so
she
we
leaves
avoid
if she
an
leaves
incident.
the raven outside, she can come in as she likes.
Thank you. Delphine, tell Fluffy to fly, and then get your butt in here.
Fluffy's already flying. I'm just gonna walk in the door.
Yeah,
Good.
and
Thank you. Now you
it's good. It's
stay
good.
right here.
It's good. It's good that you said this because just as Delphine walks in and you're looking down the street, you do see the Abbey people. Hang on. Thankfully, they do not seem to see you before you yank the door shut. So,
Wait right here, Delphine. Okay.
the
That
guard,
doesn't sound like I have much option. By all means.
the guard,
No, you do not.
the guard is just, you can come properly in as long as your raven doesn't treat the buffet like its own personal stomping ground.
That's fair.
Yeah, there's... Are you guys, like, hovering by the door listening, or are you going further in, or...
And we're going further in. Jerrica is.
Delphine?
I'm just gonna follow along.
While you guys are waiting, you do notice that the guards are, in fact, listening rather tensely. And while there's the occasional creak, creak, creak of hands on the looks boarded up door, they don't seem to have noticed that the door is actually properly functional. And whatever they're seeing through the deliberately grotty-ass windows seems to be fooling them for the moment, because after a minute or two, the guards who'd been quite tensed up just... Then they turn and look at the two of you. To be fair, there's no earthly way they could have followed you here. That you're aware of anyway. You don't really know how outsider magic works.
Trust me, they weren't on our trail.
Delphine, make me an Arcana check.
2. I rolled a 1.
Yeah, I mean, unless the Abbey people had literally dragged one of those boxes through the void somehow.
Yeah. I got nothing.
Yeah, mostly you just have interesting theories in terms of, in terms of what would happen if you brought one of those music boxes into the void.
A lot of that, and sort of what would the probability be on them just wandering through here? And just periodically veering into levels of math that might temporarily approach Aloy levels and then go back down to normal because that's too far.
Okay, that's...
Right, I'm going to see if Lady Hepzibah's finished her chat with Evangeline. She's going to start walking and leave Delphine to her formulas, unless she follows.
I'm just going to follow once again, largely on autopilot.
And since that conversation is going to take longer than 15 minutes, more than likely, we'll break now and we'll deal with what conversation Jerrica wants to have with Lady Hepzibah when we come back. And we're back, and Jerrica is going up to see, if nothing else, how the meeting between Evangeline and Lady Hepzibah is going. She's allowed up the stairs, but she's clearly interrupted some in-depth stuff when she does get in, and it's sort of... Lady Hepzibah looks and goes, there's just never going to be enough time, obviously. But business first, I suppose. Yes, I have a feeling you'll be quite useful, but for the moment, particularly that, given that I've nicked their illusionist, they might have some particular need of you, so I'll ask you to stick around with them for the time being. Then glances up at Jerrica. Can I help you?
Yes, if you two are wrapping things up.
For the moment, yes. Evangeline is just like, thank you. Not saying it, just the expression of, thank you, I was really not... It's clear that she was being grilled on, nobility stuff, and is perfectly happy to leave it for the moment. Yes. For the moment.
Steps up. Has there been any more news? She kind of looks a little bit awkwardly to Evangeline, given referencing her parents.
Well, they're still working very closely with the Abbey, etc. Being of as much help as they possibly can be in their search for their poor missing daughter. Apparently, there's quite the reward for some indication of what's going on. Proof of life, proof of death. Her actual personage, most of all, clearly.
Yeah, we've seen the overseers on the street, which is a problem.
Oh dear. Alright, how much of a problem?
Much more closer than I would like. To the inn, and also a couple outside your doorstep. But they didn't follow us, mind you.
Evangeline is like, we know that they have some amounts of magic. I have to wonder, is there any possibility they're tracking by blood?
Wouldn't they have come to the inn by now, then? If they could?
Maybe it's not that specific.
Or they're just really determined to find sources of heresy, and they're thus spreading out like weeds.
There's a good number of them, but Dunwall's bloody huge. It's possible that's how they're narrowing it down.
Well, I still have a couple of people in the manor. Not enough to be able to remove anything, but certainly enough to get some indication of whether they have such a thing. Though that's going to be risky in and of itself. I'll have to make sure that they're up for it. Either way, not much I can do about it until we have some indication. Unless, of course, there are other avenues that might be pursued in that line.
Nothing. The only way I think we could get the Abbey looking away from us is if we could expose bastards that are using them to try and find Mina.
Yeah, just let them into their basement.
Of course, given that you were technically there on your abduction thing, don't you think that by this point they would have just said that that was something that you snuck in?
How?
I have every expectation they're
You
covering their ass as well. They
You
wouldn't have let them into the manor in the first place.
Oh, no. As far as I can tell, they've definitely let them into the manor after just enough cleanup
Exactly.
to make you look responsible.
The problem. We need to give the Abbey something else to hunt.
Well, that's going to be a little bit tricky because it's either get their narrowing down shut down somehow, or find them a different target. Unfortunately, at least for the moment, it's not going to be where they should be looking.
How long do you think it'll take if your people go for the looking into that blood that they potentially have? How long do you expect that to be?
A couple of days, perhaps. I mean, to do it safely.
Of course. I think we can keep our heads down for another couple of days.
Delphine, you're the intelligent one. You do know a particularly sneaky lands on rooftops individual who might be able to do that and actually get hold of it a little more off the books.
There's always Alan.
Excuse me?
He's a friend.
Oh, really? I'm not going to ask how he could be evaded in this. If there's an attempt at plausible deniability here, I'm happy to take it.
Let's call him a burglar then, and leave it at that. So he could help, yes.
I'll leave that part of it up to you. If he's a burglar not in my employ, honestly, probably best to keep it that way, because at the very least, if he's apprehended, it doesn't lead back to me.
Where exactly do you think they would be keeping the blood if they have it?
I imagine somewhere in the Gallenfort's manor.
Alright, I'll see what he thinks about the job.
And until we've determined one way or another, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask that you not return here.
That's
Unfortunately, that does rather deny your little one her governess for a few days.
A few days that's fine. We
Perhaps,
can't very well do any work. We have to worry about the Abbey on top of everything else.
Well, I suppose unless some of that work involves backing up your Alan. But again, that's not on my payroll. But if they're tracking by not just her blood, gesturing at Evangeline, but your daughter's, it's going to start leading a little bit closer than we'd like. And it's far easier to justify breaking down the door of an apparently abandoned factory than it is storming into an inn.
Well, so we've already been through part of the manor. So it wouldn't be the worst place to break in. Not the best, but
And Evangeline's, well, I can get us past some bits. It's not like here I couldn't port here because I don't know the area, but and unfortunately I can't port out that far right now. It takes it a bit out of me, but
of course.
I can at the very least I can only do that with two of us. Because I can get me and one other person 500 feet in any given direction. And that, and to be fair, it'd probably... No, Delphine's got the roofs. Except you've got Mina.
Yeah, that's the... Someone's gonna have to look after Mina while the rest of us are going to the manor.
I wasn't thinking we'd be doing it right this second, but
Oh.
I can...
Not until dark at the least.
I can... That's the thing. The circle thing I did. If I have... I'm thinking about us getting out and back to the No Name Inn. Because we've spent longer there than we have here. Here could be a blip. Just a place that we dodged into. But we've already... If they're tracking it by blood, we've already compromised the inn by sleeping there. Here, we could have just ducked in to avoid some attention. We don't know. I was thinking about how we'd get back there so that, Mina can be tucked up safe in the closest thing she's got at the moment to her bed. But the circle thing I do, I don't have to be traveling with you. I won't be able to get you out, but I can get you in. I was just trying to think of how we leave here. And since the both of you can climb, whereas Mina and I can't, I can go to a corner of the building, close to the outer walls as possible, port us as far as possible in one direction, and try to stay ahead of them. I can be stealthy.
I don't doubt that, but it's still just the two of you out on the streets, and I don't doubt your capabilities, but Gunwall's a rough place on a good day without the overseers.
Don't underestimate me entirely. I wasn't necessarily thinking of going straight along the streets anyway. I've got some other bits and pieces in my arsenal, and at the moment, we're just a different sort of mother and child combination anyway.
All right.
It's probably better that than you having to be on the ground, tense about the whole thing.
No, you're right.
Besides, if you follow in a close enough direction, I imagine Fluffy can keep an eye on us.
That is true, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
And Hepzibah is just sort of leaning back in her chair like, well, I suppose you're not as daft as all that. Mostly looking at Delphine when you're saying that. But yes, unfortunately, I am going to have to cut your little one's visit short. But the sooner you get it sorted, the sooner she has her governess back.
Of course. Thank you.
Was there anything else?
No, not yet. We have to deal with this. Quick like.
Yeah.
Very well then. Off you go.
Jerrica goes.
And Evangeline follows, just going,
Similarly, heading out.
she... Noble and yet not. It's really weird.
Yes, she is, but she's friendly and, well, friendly on our side. Friendly as long as our interests are all aligned.
She's definitely an experience.
Yeah. She reminds me of my great aunt Hortense.
That's a name.
Uh-huh. It's better than... It's a little better than Evangeline. And I have a cousin named Forsythia.
That is a name.
I'm glad you think so. I've never been sure. And I'm assuming down the stairs to collect little one, who is currently in the process of making her little desk and chair study area into this kind of study nook tent. Various bits of silk and velvet scarf that nobody's using. With Sophie's help, obviously. So just, pinning things into places and setting up a little cushioned reading corner, and I think you're hearing. I think you're still probably a little small to use my sewing machine, but I'll have to see if we can't get you something a little bit smaller. Yeah, I can't reach the pedals. We'll work on that. It's all right. Oh, hello, Emily.
Hello, Mina. Looks like you're settling in. That's good.
She's got books. Lots of them.
Yeah, that's also good.
There's like 24. I mean, to be fair, for Morley, that's a lot of books.
Yeah, Sophie's learned quite a bit, I imagine.
Things you need to read in order to know what people are like, half the time. A little shorter than I expected.
Yeah, well, we do have some pressing matters we've learned about. So, unfortunately, we need to get going.
Right. And when am I expecting first lesson to begin?
Hard to say. Probably within the next few days.
Well, we hope everything turns out all right.
And well.
Yeah, we'll get everything sorted so that stuff can go more smoothly.
Meanwhile, reaches into the little book pile and pulls out one that's largely fairy tale, children's story kinds of bits and pieces. For the moment, I want you to practice your reading with this. Just looking at it like, it's all right. I'm sure there's another copy around here somewhere, so honestly, don't worry about it. You can hold on to that. And then looks at Jerrica again, like permission.
Yeah, so we'll read some of those later, Mina.
Yeah, you can read some. I'm sure you can read some of those to your mother.
Good idea.
It's just, bye, Miss Sophie. Best of luck. Because clearly she's like, you have pressing matters to attend to, and instead of leaving her here in my care, you're taking her away. So something's going wrong, so I really hope things are okay. Particularly after what Jerrica told her earlier.
Jerrica just gives her a nod. Starts heading out.
Evangeline is right. I managed to talk your mother into giving me permission to do a little bit more magic with you. Looks at Jerrica like, who are you and what have you done with my mummy?
Jerrica tries to look perfectly calm.
It's a special treat because you were so good about things with Sophie. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand in that corner over there. And then we're going to be about a half block down that way. I want you to take my hand and close your eyes. And then we're just going to walk down the street. Quiet, but just folks. And we'll meet your mummy and Miss Delphine back at home. Okay? Looks at Jerrica again like, really?
I'll see you soon, Mina.
And then just boom, hug. And then she back to Evangeline and takes Mina's hand. Moves the hand with the mark. The purple sparkly door and through.
Alright, now we need to find our way upwards and out of here.
The guard who's been watching this like, oh God, I really have to deal with this crap. I really have to deal with this outsider magic crap. Going, there's roof access from inside. If you take that stairwell all the way up to the top, you'll find a ladder and a trapdoor, and that'll lead you to the roof.
Thank you.
We do have some contingencies, you know. We also, somewhere in Sophie's hoard, there is also sewer access, but we try to avoid that.
I'm very happy to be out on the roof.
So, yeah, roof access is roof access, and, you know, it's up what's effectively a rickety fire escape kind of set of stairs, and then ladder up to somewhat splintery trapdoor, and and you're on the roof of the building.
Time for fun.
Oh, Christ.
Jerrica goes to, like, the corner and looks down the street.
Give me a perception check. And I take it Delphine's not even looking.
Yeah, I'm just sort of looking around up more than anything, just waiting for Fluffy to come zooming in.
And Fluffy does just... As far as you can see, there's no immediate movement in the direction you imagine that Evangeline and Mina would have gone. In fact, there doesn't seem to be all that much at all. It might have been a routine sweep. You don't really know.
Are they still in view on the street?
Not that you can see at the moment, no. They might have spread out throughout the neighborhood, but it's tight alleys, and there's a lot of places that they might just, you know, be patrolling nearby, but that you can't necessarily see from your angle.
Okay, then. Jerrica starts moving.
Okay, acrobatics from both of you.
I'm still on the roof and looking at Fluffy and going, mind having a look around for any more of those overseer types? And how close they are? And then I'm going to look over, see Jerrica already heading off, and go.
Well, no, Jerrica hasn't rolled yet, so probably hasn't left yet. But you do see Jerrica clearly plotting a route across the rooftop, so if you want to stop her, now's the time.
Hold up. Hold up.
What?
Did you forget I have eyes in the sky?
Does Fluffy see anything?
Wait for it. And I'm going to check through
Yeah.
Fluffy's visuals.
By the time you check through Fluffy's visuals, because the first couple of perception checks weren't great, but the third one, the one around the time that you did that, does actually show, thankfully some streets away from where Evangeline and Mina, from as far as you can tell, are, blending in with a crowd of not badly off individuals taking kids home from school or wherever. So they're blended in, and the only reason that you really recognize them is, those hats. Not that they stand out, but you only just bought them, so. But a few blocks closer to you guys than them at the moment is that bunch of overseers who've clearly been moving around the area. They were just out of Jerrica's line of sight from their particular spot on the rooftop. And given Fluffy's perception check, you can tell that while they're not moving fast enough to catch up, they're heading in that approximate direction.
The approximate direction following
The Evangeline, yeah.
Oh boy.
What?
So, the gaggle that was here, what we saw outside the door earlier?
Incidentally, I should flag up that there's no way that the overseers saw them, but they're still heading in the right approximate direction.
They've looped around, and now they're headed towards where Evangeline and Mina are. Not directly like they know exactly where, but they've looped around and are headed that direction.
They are doing. They have
They
witchcraft of their own.
It sounds more like someone from our less than friendly basement dwelling group is at the very least leading them around in a fashion or another.
Let me do
How many did you see?
Fluffy saw 4, and one of them is not an overseer. And is in fact, it's a little tricky to tell from a distance, but while the clothes are clearly trying to be poor, if you get a slightly closer look, the fabric's too good. The stitching's too good. The tailoring is far too good.
So, we're looking at 3 actual overseers, one of which is Boxy, and someone dressed up an awful lot like one. Just far too well.
Oh no, he's not dressed like an overseer. He's dressed like a normal individual, native guide, if you like. Hireling.
Right. Looks like looks like a normal civvy. Okay.
Looks like a normal civvy, but clearly a noble trying desperately to dress like a poor person, with minimal success because he has access to good clothes.
So let me correct that. 3 overseers, one of which is Boxy, and their neighborhood guide, who's one of those individuals who seems to think that dressing up like someone of the middle and lower class is slumming it. So 3 guesses as to what that actually is.
Well, did you recognize them? Is it Gallenford?
Not that you saw, no. And currently you're getting Fluffy going, do you want me to dive bomb them?
Hold off on that for now. This is mentally.
Aww.
I'd love to, but...
It would stop them following them.
I'm thinking on the same lines. It would do that, but I don't want to cause. Weirdly enough, I don't want to cause too much havoc just yet.
Then turn me into a pigeon!
You know what? Make a dive bombing run and then get down an alley as quickly as you can and get out of sight.
And the next thing
Delphine, you're doing your... You have that look. What's happening?
Yeah, and the next thing you hear is yelling, because when a raven decides to dive bomb you, it's a thing. Ravens are big. Those beaks are nasty. And now there is a terrible lot of screaming.
What?
Oh, Jesus Christ. The box actually falls and shatters. Oh, dear God. And then...
What did I just...
And then, yeah, Fluffy seems content with that and having drawn some blood, because while they're still yelling and now there are flintlock shots, but none of them do appear to be hitting. Fluffy goes down the alley. It's like, okay, I'm down the alley, now what?
That was perfect. And I'm going to bamf Fluffy out, and Fluffy's going to reappear on me. On my shoulder.
And Fluffy is not just... Yeah. Fluffy is carrying something. Fluffy is carrying a jar, apparently made of whalebone, with a little reservoir inside that appears to contain blood.
That's interesting. I'm
What?
going to take the little thing and sort of examine it examine the intricacies of it.
Arcana check.
Nine.
I mean, you don't know if there's more of these. I mean, there must be. There was an awful lot of blood, and they had Mina for days. But from what little you can make of this, you need better light, because you're at sunset now, and there's smog, and you need a better look. But that was probably what they were using to track them.
Need a lamp and a magnifier to confirm, but this is a delightful piece of potential information, and that's getting stashed.
Delphine, you're relatively intelligent. Maybe if you tried actually channeling your outsider thing into it, you could tell whether it works as intended.
And as I'm doing that, I'm gonna pause, grip it just a little tighter and focus, and channel.
You are getting a slight kind of... It's like a part of your brain as a compass needle, and it's very vague, but it's pulling in that direction, and that was the direction you saw Evangeline and Mina vanish in.
Huh. It's like a compass for people.
Of course, you don't know which one of them, because you doubt it could be both.
No. It's not both at once, because that kind of this blood mixing never entirely works out the way people think it does. But yeah, compass for people. And I'm gonna need to have a couple more looks at this.
Hold on to that. We should get moving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, Delphine should probably flag up that was only a tiny bit of blood. There are probably more.
there's likely at least as many of these as there are of those local neighborhood guides that our basement-dwelling friends have been foisting on everyone, on the overseer troops. So
Be a problem. At least we know what to look for now, though.
that, and we know for a fact that they deal very badly with birds.
Yes. Yes, that helps too.
Fuck the nobles. And Raven just puffed up with pride.
You are just a treat. Scritch, 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 scritch.
I trashed their box.
Yeah, that's good to know. That means that if we do get boxed, we can break it.
Do I still work if the box is working?
You might end up back in the void, but at the very least we know we can break the box and break their hold. And thereby get you back very, very quickly.
Okay.
For appropriate vengeance.
Go for the eyes.
Alright. Jerrica starts moving now.
Okay, both of you make me acrobatics checks, now that you've cleared the zone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeet. Much better.
Good thing we distracted them first.
Well, yeah, except for the whole, I mean, Jerrica is a little bit too focused on, they took my daughter's blood, probably. And thus she puts her weight where she should not have put her weight, and winds up not doing herself a damage exactly, but definitely ending up on ground level after grabbing hold of the wrong drain pipe, sort of halfway back to the no-name inn, and having that just kind of lean her down to ground level before she could leap to something else. And Delphine, while managing slightly better, winds up with a spot that's just that little bit too far to jump, and also does not do herself an injury because she lands in one of those dumpsters she lauded so very, very much. She just misjudged the jump a little bit. I mean, neither of you are hurt, but Jerrica's pride is kind of dinged, and Delphine reeks of garbage.
So many boxes. Both a combination of just probably bits of fancy box and at the very least several mattresses worth of just random shredded fluff.
Random shredded. Actually, I was more thinking that this is. Now I roll the hand of fate.
And or decomposing.
Yeah, this is outside a local eatery, so all of this soft was potato peels, bits of cabbage leaf, or they probably used to be cabbage leaf.
So some of it was just kind of squidgy, and some of it was squidgy.
Yeah, I mean there was a certain amount of packing crate, but actually it's lucky you missed most of that because bits of that would have impaled you.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly it was just squelch.
Oh.
You do have a very large rat. It doesn't look diseased, it's just rat.
Speak with animals. Hello.
Why are you in my dinner?
I was trying to go past your dinner and I missed.
Well, you can't have it, it's mine. It's not much, but it's mine.
Well, what would you say if I could offer you a nicer dinner? And more dinner?
What's the catch? That is what I would say.
The catch mostly being you stay with me. I have a place that's very friendly to those of your size.
You're not running and screaming or trying to kill me. And you want to give me food.
And the other two friends of...
Yeah, this is Track Bunny, by the way. This thing is twice the size of Holly and Socks, because they're still babies. Well, young rats, anyway.
The other two friends, well, they're still a bit small and could use someone who could teach.
There is the other option of this rat could come for tutorials and speak to its pack about city goings on non-cat level.
Mind you, how do you have a whole nest anywhere nearby?
Yeah, doesn't everyone?
Not always, but I'd like to help your nest stay safe and healthy in exchange for maybe some help looking around. I've already sort of made friends with the local cats, and they do some looking around, but they can't get into nearly as many places as you can. You do, after all, chew through all obstacles.
Or we squeeze around the... yeah. Of course, incidentally, Jerrica on ground level just kind of saw Delphine kind of poof into a dumpster and is now hearing a one-sided conversation. And if she looks in, very large rat.
Just
Oh. Really, Delphine?
And the rat looks at her like,
Jerrica, I'm having a conversation. Quickly.
The dumpster.
Yes. Now,
you have an appointment. We bring food, we'll talk.
as you will.
But I'm probably okay with that. The others probably will be, depending on the quality of the dinner that's not other people's garbage.
I'll make sure to bring something nice then.
And then just into the dumpster contents.
And I'm going to get myself out of there without potentially disturbing anything particularly tasty.
I'll allow it. There's not all that much that's not squidge at this point anyway.
Extremely squashed. Once I'm out, True and Craft sort of try to vent the smell off of myself just to pass in polite company.
Yeah, you can probably manage reasonably well. I mean, if nothing else, you can at least get a little splash of water across the face and hair, and mask the smell on your clothes. But you're gonna need to change clothes again. But you're kind of used to that, given your profession. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, eventually Delphine gets out of the dumpster and does some quick cleanup work.
Okay, now you were saying.
Then let's get moving. And
Can I sort of want to swing by Market one more time because I need to stop at a fruit stall?
as long as the outsiders aren't on that street. All right.
The what?
The overseers.
Overseers, not outsiders.
Well, to be fair, you probably won't want to see even one of him, let alone multiples of him at this point.
Yeah. Given his propensity for being like 3 places at once when talking to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to market. Okay. We're doing this. All right.
Oh God, what have I done?
Decided that food had to happen right now, apparently. Yeah, unfortunately, there are a few that... I mean, these seem a little more aimless than the individuals that you saw actually around Lady Hepzibah's and nearby to... they actually seem to be more talking to people than following a specific direction. But there is still that individual with the box and the people around him. They just don't have a local guide. But clearly they decided they didn't need one because they know this area. One of them is hovering, unfortunately, close to the fruit stalls.
Come on, Delphine. Get in another time.
I'm going to try to fully stealth blending sort of thing. Disappear from next to Jerrica.
Make me a stealth check.
What is with my dice?
I'm sorry, you're trying to blend with white people.
And it's not working.
No.
Then how weird, have I noticed the weird looks I'm getting yet?
Your perception's not that bad, yes.
And I'm going to swivel and leave.
At which point you've got Fluffy going, why don't you tell Jerrica what you were doing? Mentally this time. She might have ideas.
Jerrica, remember the cats I recruited?
Yes.
By way of a copious amount of kippers? I may have just recruited a local rat population as well, and for that,
Of course you did.
looking to amplify negotiations with appropriate foodstuffs.
Okay, we will get food for the rats. But not right now.
Jerrica's moderately sensible. If the gentleman at the inn is providing the kippers for the cats, couldn't they just throw that little bit extra on the tab and let the guy who buys in bulk buy what she wants for... Maybe don't tell him it's rat food?
Besides, there's plenty of food at the inn. We'll get something there. Maybe not tell him about the rats.
It'll probably seem awful weird asking about things from Karnaka, but sure.
But at the same time, just to let you know from a Delphine perspective, because Delphine will know a lot more about the rat diet. Fruit is a thing, yeah, but so are grains, animal protein. So honestly, anything from decent bread rolls to, a good apple to leftover kipper, sausage, just about anything really. Just as long as it's not rotting.
Yeah, she just wanted to really up the ante with negotiations by way of providing fruit and like crackers.
Best with rodents, go for nuts. Rats go crazy for peanut butter.
Tick.
Weirdly, less cheese. They won't do cheese unless there's no other option. But
that I recall. That's why I was considering that's why I remembered the fruits, the pits of the fruits, the nuts, everything inside of a
but they're particularly keen on peanut butter.
And Tick, 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 ding. I have an idea. That expression comes back
Yeah,
again.
seriously, if you really want to treat a rat, peanut butter and jam sandwiches.
Yup.
And hey, it's also good kid food, so... Not that I imagine Mina has had much opportunity to try peanut butter and jam sandwiches, so she'd probably like it too.
So yeah, I'm just gonna follow Jerrica with that expression still on my face.
And yeah, by the time you guys get back to the No Name Inn, the sun is pretty, pretty well on its way to down, so full dark will be in another hour or so. And Evangeline and Mina are already up there going. Apparently, dinner tonight is sausage and mash. Sausage and okay.
It's good.
I'm sure it is. It's just people think that the food I usually eat's weird. At least ours are... Actually, no, ours aren't named sensible things either. Never mind.
Nigel, we may have bought ourselves a bit of time. Thanks to Fluffy.
Yeah.
Starts to open his beak. Looks at Mina. And you can, Delphine can hear. I wanted to say "fuck the overseers," but there's a little one, and I don't want to get my neck wrung. I know I wouldn't really die, but it's not fun.
Try overseers or jerks.
No.
Okay.
Mina, meanwhile, is feeding leftover bits of croissant to because she apparently got one from Sophie. It's just feeding bits of flaky pastry. So it's one bit for her, one bit for Holly, one bit for Socks, and then offers Fluffy one. Thank you for leaving my fingers. I went poof.
That you very much did.
It was really purple.
Maximum purple.
And Evangeline is just, should I go down for sausages, or... I'm going to send Mina to wash her hands before anything else, because while Holly and Socks are very clean, you have been having your hands in their mouths, and no animal's mouth is clean. Not even ours. Especially not ours, as far as I've ever been told. What, really?
That is entirely accurate.
I have a cousin who bit another one of my cousins, and the cousin who got bit, he got really sick. Shows little baby teeth and then just near him. Okay, we have a few minutes. What's going on?
You were right about the blood. We
I'm
found
gonna
that.
pull out I'm gonna pull out the charm.
We found that.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, Fluffy rather did.
Yes, Fluffy did that. Thank you.
And also
Fuck the
broke one of
overseers.
the boxes by getting them to drop one.
Well, it's good to know those break, I guess. But then again, I suppose most things break if sufficiently beaten.
Yeah.
I think we probably have to assume they have both of ours. I mean, I don't know. I know where they got mine, but
It's also a case of which one was this tagged to, because mixing never exactly works out how people think it does.
well, we seem to be having me looking after. We seem to have me looking after Mina when you guys are out working, so I don't
We
think we'll
need
be
to
able to
deal with
test that
either
for a
of
while.
them. We need to.
Well, I think what we need to do, and that's going to be down to you, because you're the one who stands a better chance of being careful with it. We should probably ask if they have her blood first.
And what I'm going to do right now, while I'm still holding it, is briefly focus on it and see if it points to Evangeline or off to wherever Mina ran to.
The problem is, they're they're kind of in a line, and there's no real distance component involved.
So I just get the same sort of like spinning items in place.
It's too close. Is the thing. This was meant to be over distances. There's no pinpoint. It's a compass, not a GPS system.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very vague.
So I'm getting like a little bit of like on a point spinning.
Yeah. You're basically getting here someplace. But here could be here or 2 rooms over, you're not sure.
I was hoping that would have been enough distance to have made the determination. Oh well, guess not.
I have a feeling that's... I mean, I don't know very much about these things, but the various stories and bits of gossip I've heard, specificity is not a thing.
Yeah. Bollocks.
We just
So-
need to find blood
Well,
in
we...
the manor, and then
The
any
thing...
more of those charms that might be on the street.
The thing is that if they're keeping... If they have both our blood, and they stored it in 2 different points in the manor, you might find one, and not the other. You still need to know. If for no other reason, then you need to know exactly how hard you want to stab them.
That's already without question, but it depends on what exactly is in your father's manor on an average night.
Well, I can spend some time sketching out a map of sorts.
That'd be good.
I mean, it's about what I can do, because the last thing you want is me in there.
Yeah, given their previous attempts.
At which point Mina comes padding back in, shows hands, you know. I'm gonna go down and get some of this dinner. Okay?
Thank you.
Your mum has a question for you. She goes,
I'm
Here,
actually
Mina.
gonna put it away and go to follow Evangeline because I want to make sure sandwiches.
okay, fair enough. We'll actually deal with the sandwiches first and let Noms have a moment to think. And Evangeline comes down, and she's actually fitting in fairly well with the crowd, with her hair all tucked up and wearing the appropriate clothes and going, yeah, dinner for 5? He gives her a rather respectful nod, actually. Apparently she knows how to talk to him. And then looks at Delphine. Oh, what do you want now?
Well,
Just out with
ham
it.
Sandwiches,
What?
peanut butter and jam sandwiches.
How many?
I'm just doing math on average nest plus amount for Mina.
Well, if you really want to do that, you could just say, just get me a jar of peanut butter, a jar of jam, and like a couple of loaves of bread, and I'll make them myself.
Well, honestly, I think I might be better off with just the components and self-assembly sort of thing. Loaf, jar of each thing. Few more loaves, probably.
Oh, Lord. All right. I'll see. You're gonna have to come down later for that. I'd stock jam. I don't stock peanut butter. I'll have to send someone out to one of the shops because I'm assuming you don't want to go because of reasons.
Yeah, the reasons got in the way.
If you bring down plates from dinner, then I'll have that for you.
Thank you.
And then goes, and it basically just platter of sausages, big bowl of spuds, peas, flagon of ale, 4 glasses, big glass of milk.
Very much the like it or lump it scenario, and very much in the like it category.
Yes.
So you
And, you
know,
know, there's also a little pot of gravy. It's like, remember that one's the gravy and that one's the ale. I'll be sure to remind them. Thank you. And she takes the drinks and leaves Delphine to the food. Meanwhile, you've got expectant-looking Mina.
Give me your help me set the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll assume by now they have their. How are they helping set the table when all the cutlery has to go back downstairs?
Oh, I guess there's nothing to set. And ignore that. But you kind of beckons Mina over, help her sit at the table. Now, Mina, when you were with the Gallanfoids, did they ever cut you with a knife?
Looks at Jerrica for a minute, and then rolls up one of her sleeves. There's about 5 different gashes along her left upper arm.
Jerrica pulls her in and stares bloody murder at the wall.
I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to be more mad.
Oh, I'll see, Bird. Yes, you shouldn't be afraid to tell me things, even if I'm mad. Never be mad at you, of course, but...
Yeah, but you're scary when you're mad.
Yes, but that's to protect you.
I know, but it's still scary.
I know.
I couldn't. I don't know if I could really help much anyway because I didn't know why.
No, it's hard to explain why, but we figured something out, so I need to know.
They said something about bloodletting, and I know that some chirurgeons do that, but they don't normally take the blood away.
No, they were lying to you.
Why did they want my blood, Mummy? I'm sorry, that was a 17 on an int check. So
it's for witchcraft. It's how they're trying to find you. But I'm not going to let that happen.
Sort of little huddle heap. Squish. Oof.
Gonna be okay.
but if they're following me...
Well, there was some following you, but we stopped that. Fluffy stole the magic charm that they were using. So those ones can't find you anymore.
Those ones?
We're going to... Delphine and I are going out tonight, and we're going to make sure that they can't make any more of those charms.
How do you know that they have more already?
And we're going to find those too. We're going to do whatever it takes.
You now have very, very quiet, very guilt-riddled looking little kid. Boom.
Sure, just sits down with Mina still attached.
And that is around the point when Evangeline sort of comes in with drinks and we have food.
Thank you, Evangeline.
We'll do the table setting, I think. Sorry if it's a little fancy, but I'm used to tables looking a certain way. She's apparently trying to do amusing for Mina, but Mina's not listening, so... Oh dear. Clink, clink. Evangeline sort of looking at Delphine like, you got any input on this?
Oh. We were told to remind you that that's the gravy and that's the ale.
That is important to keep track of. Jerrica takes a napkin and wipes at Mina's face and then kind of turns her around on her lap. Aren't you hungry, Mina?
I mean, not... looks at her, chokes back the not really, sticks with, I'm not gonna eat on your lap because things in here. And shifts over to the next chair.
That's a good point.
But yeah, there is definitely more picking at the food than eating it. She does actually, put food in her mouth and chew when Jerrica is looking and doing concerned face, but mostly she's kind of playing with it. In usual kid kind of way.
If there's a moment during that, I'm just going to lean over and go, if you manage enough of this, there's some stuff you probably haven't had that we're going to bring up for you to try. Peanut butter and jam sandwiches.
Peanut butter?
You'll see. It's delightful.
She gives it a try, but she's still more kind of putting all the peas into kind of a bowl she scooped into her mashed potatoes. That's the kind of thing kids do when they're presented with food you can shape.
Delphi's just watching this and just internally, that is adorable.
It's still probably better than what I did with the spaghetti bolognese when I was that age.
Dear God, what did you do?
My mum had gone to her best friend and her best friend's husband's house for dinner and took me along because we didn't really have a whole lot of babysitter back then. And they were obviously having their grown-up conversation. And this was when I was in my very brief picky eating stage. Didn't like onion, didn't like green pepper. And wasn't all that much for cooked tomatoes. Although that's probably because my dad used to serve stewed tomatoes with almost no seasoning whatsoever. So, yeah. Anyway, point is that I'm faced with this thing that's full of chunks of green pepper and onion, and I'm like, I don't want this, but I can't say I don't want this. That's rude. And I'm hungry. So I basically picked every single spaghetti noodle out of this pasta, leaving just this pile of bolognese sauce untouched in the middle of the plate. Just noodle by noodle, and by the time I was done, all three, because apparently my mum's friend's husband nudged his wife first, and then she nudged mum, and they're all watching me just pull out noodles without disturbing the sauce pile at all. And apparently the comment was she has a promising career in brain surgery. Or, bomb defusing. Because seriously, it was untouched. You know how they do that thing where, you have the pasta and then you have the sauce just in its pile on top and you mix it around yourself? Well, they did that and I just didn't, so... Nope. Intricacy. But yeah, no, this is just more, pat, 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 pat. Perfectly shaped little bowl in the mashed potatoes, and then just nudging the peas up, and
Well, as long as she ate a bit of something, then Jerrica will not comment.
yeah, she ate a bit, mostly again when Jerrica's having that concerned look, and it's just like, oomph. But clearly not overly interested, and clearly far more concerned than anything else. Yeah, there is. I mean, Jerrica, she may have been at sea for quite some time, but she knows her daughter, and that is a certain amount of, I don't want them following me and getting Mummy in trouble. What do I do about this? Kids, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, Jerrica's leaving that for now.
Okay. I mean, Delphine would need to do an insight check for that one.
Insight. Now my rolls change.
Well, yeah, basically what you have is a little girl who is very concerned that bad people are going to follow her and do bad things to Mummy. The fact that they're definitely going to do bad things to her does not seem to have registered.
Mina?
Mm?
We're going to make sure that the bad people can't follow us.
I know, Mummy said. But now you have to go and do dangerous things.
And I'll do my absolute best to make sure nothing bad happens to your mum. I'll drop the entirety of the animal kingdom on their heads if I have to. And possibly an entire forest, given the opportunity.
I'm imagining bears.
Yes. Ever wonder which bear is best? Well, you've got big grizzlies, right?
Mm-hmm.
People would think those would be best, right? They're huge.
Big's not always better.
Exactly.
Mummy's not very big, and she won a lot in the fights in the bars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's
So-
probably not supposed to know about those, but she is an adorably precocious kid.
So that would mean that the bear the next size down would be best. Black bears. Because unlike grizzlies, they can still go up trees. Very quickly.
Okay, neat.
Hmm?
Neat.
Is there anything else you'd like to know about critters?
I don't really know a lot about much of anything, really.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Is there any thing you've ever seen that you wanted to know a bit more about? And something that I might be throwing at bad guys?
I don't think you'll be throwing whales at bad guys.
Internally to Fluffy. Now there's an idea.
It's mean from Fluffy. That's mean to the spirit whale. And you're not turning me into a whale on land.
No, I'm not.
It's just because Mummy used to go out hunting them. And
She
all
did.
I really know is that they're real big.
Very. The size of boats.
Bigger than boats.
Mm-hmm. And at least the ones around here also have an assortment of very big whiskers. That's the way I can describe those.
Whiskers?
Tentacles, really, but they in the same place as you'd see whiskers coming out of a person. Sort of like a beard.
Are you, sorry, out of character, please tell me you're not talking about Baleen.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about baleen. These are the dishonored whales look like sperm whales, but they have like little tentacle beards almost.
Oh, okay. In which case, oh yeah, I saw some of those in the dark place.
They just through there, don't they? I still don't know why that is, and I'm gonna find out, just so I can tell you.
I think it's because they're dying a lot.
Could well be. Or they might just naturally be able to swim through spaces between spaces.
If they could do that, they'd be even harder to hunt than they are already.
That's true.
I think the void place is where the dead and the lost things go.
Yeah, that seems pretty likely.
A
But if
shortcutty
something's lost-
place.
And if things are lost, doesn't that mean that the void would also be the best way to find them as well? Because if you go to the place where all the lost things are, you'd find a whole heck of a lot of lost things.
You'd also find a lot of dead things.
Also true, but those are the things that probably wouldn't be able to leave. Something lost can be found. Something dead stays that way.
It looks at Jerrica and decides I should probably not be continuing this conversation because my mummy looks unsettled.
Just these two being eerie in the corner.
Yeah, it's mostly the Delphine. I'm used to this from Delphine, but the problem is she's not even that she's encouraging Mina. It's just that they put my daughter in the void, and I'm going to make them pay, kind of thing. And that's when you have Mina look in her direction, and oh, Mummy's got the face again.
Very slowly
Not-
drink her ale.
Yeah, it just takes another bite of sausage.
DM would now be an appropriate time for me to go off for obtaining sandwich materials.
By this point, it's pretty clear that Mina's eaten about all that she's going to. So yes, you can bring the plates down, and when you do go downstairs, you will have a couple of loaves of bread with himself downstairs going, "You're gonna slice it your own damn self."
Yep.
Jar of peanut butter, jar of jam, which does appear to be blackberry, so.
I'll happily take the materials and right back up.
At which point you have Delphine with a couple of loaves of bread and a couple of jars just doing the behold kind of thing.
Witness me and sandwich assembly.
You just got Mina looking at this like, Mommy, what is that?
She's making sandwiches, I think.
Just sort of looking at the peanut butter, just like, it smells like peanuts, but peanuts don't smush like that.
It's a jam made out of peanuts and something else.
Butter, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, and you squish this stuff enough, it sort of resolves. When you squish peanuts enough, it resolves into this.
God, that is the... I'm not entirely sure that's how peanut butter is made. Yeah, okay. Homemade peanut butter. I am curious now. Yes, basically peanuts, peanut oil, salt. You have to cook it first. And then blend. It takes a fair bit of effort to make if you don't have a powered blender.
Mind you, the amount of squishing and the amount of time and the amount of salt you have to also throw in takes a while. You gotta just keep working it, and eventually through the oil inherent in peanuts and the salt and, well, all the...
So it's really simple rich people food.
It's food that...
No, I figured it out. The more effort you have to put into the food, the more for rich people it is.
Sort of. The thing with this is that peanut butter keeps a long time. So it's, much as rich people would like to have it, they like the stuff that takes a lot of effort and only lasts so long.
Then explain their furniture.
That's furniture. That's just built to last regardless, I think.
Not ours at home.
Well, it should be, but as to food, it seems that rich people prefer the food that just poof, and things that don't keep as long. They can afford to get more of it. And while this, well, it's not exactly easy to get your hands on, but when you do get some, it'll stay for a while, and it can make near on anything with this stuff.
She does not look convinced.
Yet to see someone manage a peanut butter cake.
They have this identical tilt. And in that second, it is so clear that they are related.
A lot of pastries, really. But in the meantime, and I'm just going to hand her a sandwich.
Poke. Poke, poke. Nymph.
Is it good?
Sticky. Kid is not thrilled with peanut butter, apparently. And just starts feeding bits of it to Holly and Socks.
Who are clearly just having a time.
Oh yeah, they're enjoying the manna from Little Girl Heaven. So and while she's distracted feeding the rats who are going to be nearly spherical by the time all this is over, Evangeline kind of sidles up and goes, "Now I know that you were saying you were going out to the manor tonight. Were you going to try to get hold of this Alan person?"
Yeah, it'll be good to have a third with us. So we should go get him before we talk business.
I'll see if he's available for a start. Can we send Fluffy? Fluffy's in talking capable shape.
That we can. Let's go, it's like Fluffy. I think it's time to fetch Alan for tea with the Weird Sisters again.
Hop, hop, hop.
And I have a new group of friends that I'm going to provide a meal and negotiations to. And as I'm just taking the massive assembled sandwich.
Well, that's something you can manage on your own time. What I will do, make things a little bit easier, is help Mina get ready for bed while you all talk business, and you can come tuck her in properly before you head out.
Thank you.
It's like, come on, Mina, let's probably braid your hair before bed so it doesn't wind up all tangly. Okay. Hugs Jerrica and pat.
I'll be by in a little bit, Mina.
Okay. Yeah, that's around the point that Delphine, again with the fairly good insight roll, is noticing that even without the eeriness, Jerrica is already fucking seething. So clearly the answer to do they have Mina's blood is yes.
Oh boy. So it seems we're doing a burglary.
At the very least.
Given, yeah, that looks as a lot.
And from the window, that look speaks of throat cutting. Alan, just hovering in the window frame. I was invited.
I hope that's not something that you would object to for someone who most assuredly deserves it.
I'm not against it on general principles, but I appreciate knowing why they deserve it more than they already did.
Because he's a cultist who kidnapped my daughter.
Yes, beyond what they already did. You're already mad at him for that. You're madder now.
Bloodletting.
I think that's one word.
2 syllables, however, so...
Bloodletting.
Alan, Delphine,
You have earned yourself a sandwich.
Thank you. Why? I actually no, I don't want to know. So, they bled your child for witchcraft.
they're using it to try and find her again.
And I'm going to pull out Charm.
Yeah, gives it a once over. Okay. Yes, except that one's not hers.
Oh, you can tell.
From the looks of this, they don't have very much of Milady's blood. Maybe lack of opportunities to get it, because this is... I think part of the reason it's so vague is because it's not as clean, I think, as it could be. Delphine? You can tell exactly where they got that blood.
Yeah. One basement dwelling ritual, and a lot of attempted knives.
I don't think it would worked even as well as it seems to have if it hadn't been... I mean, this is deep blood. This is...
Arterial, yes.
I was going to say closer to the heart, but okay.
Yeah, they got the knife a lot. Let's just say they put it into her chest before any of us managed to do anything, and thankfully I have a few tricks on hand that averted immediate exsanguination.
You're a handy person to know. So, I take it that I'm being invited on... I mean, this is a particularly interesting caper. I mean...
Would you like to join us in breaking into the Gallantford Manor?
I kind of assumed that was if I hadn't been interested, I would have told your feathered friend no thank you.
Fair enough.
It sounds like you could use the help.
It would be appreciated.
I think I mean, to be honest, there's 2 choices. I can go with you, and I'd be happy to. But at the same time, if they're using those, and I'm assuming this is given that one's Milady's blood, and they have the little ones, there's more than one of these things floating around.
Which there is.
And while I'm
They
sure...
haven't-
Well, I'm
They
sure...
haven't broken into the... Sorry. They haven't broken into the inn yet.
Not yet. I mean, I'm giving you the option. I can come with you, or I can make sure that no one tries to sneak in the dead of night.
Mm,
Honestly, I'd take the making sure bit.
mm.
Because
I
with
need to-
these people... I remember we were talking about bears.
That's true, we could. Yes, Delphine bears are an option.
We could just go directly to Loud.
We could, but let's keep the bears in if we
Alan
are forced. to
Alan
get
is just
Loud.
sort of going... what? Am I the bear in this scenario? What?
And I'm just pointing at my own hand.
Delphine can make animals appear out of thin air.
The outsider gave you the power of bear.
Bear, bloodfly, raven, anything I could possibly dream of.
That was you?
Karnaka has so many fun things.
Yes, but if you bring them here, they burn buildings down.
That's
Yeah.
what we've learned. It hasn't, haven't we, Delphine?
We have, and it's something we can definitely use.
Yes, we can consider that.
Suddenly I like
and
the idea of...
discuss it.
Suddenly I like the idea of sentry duty better than trying to go on a burglary with you.
And were we in, say, sewers or the docks, I'd be happy to call on things in the water beyond just the whales.
Don't want to know. Don't want to know. Don't want to know. Don't want to know.
All right, you should stay here now. Yes. That's a good
I mean,
point.
I'm sure Milady can. Actually, no, I'm not sure Milady can handle herself in a scrap.
I'm
Better
sure she'd give it
she
a
doesn't
good-
have to.
Sure she'd give it a good fight, but better avoided. But not entirely sure who or what is in the manor when he's not hosting parties.
You do remember that she is going to draw a map for you. It's just they
I was
hadn't
just thinking
quite.
more in terms of guards or
Well,
monsters or who knows what.
that would go with the map. To be fair,
Mhm.
Evangeline does seem to have an eye for detail, and she wouldn't just give you a floor plan and leave it at that.
Mm.
I mean, at the very least, while I am aware that they have had overseers visiting, I don't think they're staying in the manor.
No, that would be strange, but it's hard to. You wouldn't think at first look that they had all that witchcraft in the basement either, and who knows what else he's hiding. Even if he's hidden it pretty well from the Abbey.
Well, the thing, if you look the right sort of way, you say the right sort of things, and you spread around enough coin, then I'm sure they have reasons to go easy. Not to mention
Clearly.
the right amount of scrubbing and the right props removed and added, and it looks like you broke in and decided to desecrate their space with witchcraft.
It's been paying off quite a bit considering that charm we found with the overseers and someone else that was leading them.
I've seen the posters. They don't do you justice.
It's also not it's not as though if someone's well-to-do and is helping the overseers, it's not as though they're going to be smart enough to check the person for their own set of witchcraft tools. None of them are all that bright.
They're bright enough to use tracking charms, or... Oh, no, I suppose the Abbey isn't.
Right enough to let someone else use it instead of putting them in a dark hole.
It's not as though, like I said, it's not as though they searched the people. It's not as though they search anyone unless they're directly accusing them of heresy.
And if they're helping root out heresy, they're not accusing you of heresy.
Apparently.
And they're not going to ask how you are just lucky enough to know where these people are headed.
Especially not if you have a reputation as a local guide. You pass it off as knowing the traffic flow.
That's a good point.
So I don't know if it's that they're stupid, lazy, easily paid off, or have a you keep your secrets, we'll keep ours kind of thing. But either way,
all of the above.
Either way, it's not necessarily the Abbey that I'm concerned about. If you had kidnappers, cutthroats, and other hires sneaking into this territory to get property back without overseer involvement, then you wouldn't have to hide charm use.
I appreciate you staying here, Alan.
Well, like I say, I'd have gone with, but somebody who can actually use a blade ought to stick around.
Yeah, you're right. You surely know that there's one bunch of cutthroats in alignment with him.
Yes, I heard something about a whaling crew.
Yeah. At least some of them are still in the city. Or they were as
Several
of
individuals.
a few nights ago.
Well, if you can earn better money here, abducting highborn ladies and little girls than you can risking your life at sea, what would you do? Okay, maybe not you. What would a you without any semblance of a conscience do?
Well, if they are in the city, then it'll be easier for me to find them. Relatively.
Well, I hope you find them before they find yours.
And when we
First
find
thing
them,
first
I
is
think
these damn charms, which will make it harder for them to find her once we remove them all.
And then we
Remove
find
source.
them, we toss them all in off the dock, and we feed them to friends.
You, in looking at Delphine, you should at least let her gut one or two.
Well, I'm sure that'll happen either way.
Yeah, but there's a difference between gutting, gut lest ye be gut, and more just having someone at your mercy and ripping bits off them.
These two idiots feeding the high chaos route.
Oh, he turns around to Delphine and just going, I'm only saying one or two, just because they bled her daughter.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't have any kids, and my mother's been a distant memory, but I do remember the reason that I didn't grow up with a dad so much is that my dad decided that he was going to discipline with a fireplace poker, and she disciplined him right back with a kitchen knife.
Good on her.
I didn't have what you might call the cleanest of upbringings, but anyway.
Suppose you turned out all right.
Depends on who you ask, but glad I meet with your approval. I'll let you plan for your caper and keep watch.
Good luck up there.
Thank you. I'll say this: if anything happens to either of them, it's 'cause I died first. And with that, he's just out the window and gone.
He grew up a bit ridiculous, but yeah, you're right. He did turn out well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jerrica goes to get Evangeline.
yeah, we're at that time. So what we'll have it as is Jerrica, doing the tucking Mina in, kissing her goodnight, and when we meet up next week, we pre-heist planning in the actual heist.
Mhm.
So, see you guys later.